Hi guys, I want to talk to you today about intermittent fasting, what it is, and if you even really need to be doing it. So when you are eating a ketogenic diet, which I know a lot of us are experimenting and trying out now, there is something that you can do while eating keto that actually will optimize the results that you want to see, specifically if you're doing it for weight loss, for the loss of body fat. Intermittent fasting is when we eat in an 8-hour window and then we don't eat again for 16 hours. Now, at first that might sound crazy, right? You're like, what? I can't eat for 16 hours? Well, guess what? You're sleeping for a good majority of that time, right? At least half. And then the other half of the time, if you're really eating a good ketogenic diet, you won't be hungry. You shouldn't be hungry. If you find that you're eating about 3 meals a day, but you're still finding yourself snacking throughout the day and that you're actually really hungry, then you're not eating enough during your meals. So I would say just eat more food, eat more healthy, good, healthy fat food during your 3 meals a day. If you're snacking because you're bored, you need to check that, right? We each have a different relationship with food and why we eat and things like that. So if you're hungry, eat. But if you're not hungry and you're just bored, don't eat. If you're snacking in between your meals, then that's a sign that you need to eat more just during your actual mealtime. So now, what does intermittent fasting do, and why should we even consider doing it if we're eating a ketogenic diet, right? So what happens is, if you are able to eat your food in an 8-hour window, and I'm going to give you an example of what I'm talking about. Those other 16 hours of the day when you're not eating, right, which again, you normally fast for at least 8 hours when you're sleeping anyway, so it's doable. So those hours that you're not eating, your body isn't so busy on burning all the stuff you've been eating. Instead, your body has time now to burn your body fat. Okay, if you're in ketosis, if you're eating a ketogenic diet, you're able to now burn body fat that you've stored during those 16 hours. Now, what I'm saying is an 8-hour window. So what would that kind of look like? So for me, I have done this. I don't do it every day. I do it when I feel up to it. I do it when there are certain situations I know that I have that are easy for me. If I know I have to be out in the evening for work or a different activity, things like that, then I know, okay, well, it'll be easy for me if I eat before I leave the house, and when I come home, I just don't eat until the next day. So I have been able to work it out for me. And I did this probably about 2 weeks or 3 weeks into my journey on a ketogenic diet, and I saw immediate results from it. So again, I don't do it every day. I probably at most have done it like 2 or 3 times a week. When I've done it 3 times a week, I've definitely seen the most results from it. So what that would mean for me is I'll make sure that the night before I am done eating by 8 o'clock. So maybe I start my dinner at 7, whatever it might be, I'm done by 8 p.m. For me, that means now I'm not eating at all that evening, okay? The rest of the night, I'm not eating. Now, you can have, water. I definitely at times had hot tea. So not eating anything. Going to sleep, waking up the next day, and not eating anything again until 12 noon. So waking up, not having breakfast. I would have a coffee because I take my coffee black, so that's basically no calories. Depending if you are taking exogenous ketones, if you're drinking ketones, you can have that or your pre-workout in the morning if you wanted to, as long as you don't break 50 calories. If you eat 50 calories in the morning, you're going to break your fast. So some of the max versions of the ketones that I take are about 40 calories or 45, so those are fine actually. So I would wake up, have water, perhaps have a pre-workout or have a ketone, and then I would go ahead and not eat again until noon. At noon, I would have a great, awesome meal, and then I would have 8 hours to eat my food from noon until 8 at night, and I would have 8 hours to eat my food. So I would still have good 3 meals, the same calories I would normally have in a day. I'm just making the window of when I'm eating them shorter. So instead of maybe 8 in the morning to 8 at night, and that's 12 hours, or even extending it for your snacking until like 9 or 10 at night, I'm making that window shorter. And what that's doing is that those 8 hours, I am eating, my body is burning what I'm eating, but then those other 16 hours, I'm not eating. So my body gets a rest from having to burn all that stuff that I'm consuming, and instead gets to burn the stored fat. Now, you can go ahead and Google intermittent fasting. There's a ton of medical benefits, ton of research has been done about it. There are some people who swear by it and say it's amazing. They do it all the time, like months on end. Other people, it fits into their lifestyle to do it a couple times a week. For me, that's how it fits in for me. It has been not that big of a challenge, because if you are eating good, healthy, high fats in your keto diet, then you shouldn't be so hungry all the time. If you're finding yourself hungry all the time, then you need to eat more food during your meals. And if you're finding that you're just snacking because you're bored, then you need to get that in check, get control of yourself. As you start to eat a ketogenic diet, you're gonna find that you're more in tune with your body, and you're gonna be able to actually check yourself and say, am I hungry right now because I'm hungry, or am I hungry because I'm bored, or am I hungry because something's happening, or this is just a habit. I know when I sit down and watch this show, I eat this food or something. So as you start to really eat this ketogenic diet, you're gonna be able to say like, oh no, my body's actually hungry. So during an intermittent fast, I'm talking 16 hours, no food, 8-hour window to eat all the food you would normally eat in a regular day, right? So your regular calories, if you're a 2,000 a day calorie person, you would eat your 2,000 a day calories within that window, whatever that is for you. Okay, you would still eat them. So you're not starving yourself. You're not keeping yourself from food. Okay, if you find that you're hungry, you're really hungry, eat, right? No one's saying don't eat. But if you want to try this and see what it does for you, some people feel great. They realize, hey, I don't actually need this. Now, it's a little weird because we've grown up hearing, oh, breakfast is the most important meal of the day, or you should be eating every 2 hours. And that is because it's based off of a standard American diet. Our ketogenic diet that we're trying to follow right now, or low carb diet, even if you're not strict keto, that is totally different than what we've been taught as an American standard diet, right? So American standard diet, you're eating a lot of carbs. The reason they tell you to eat throughout the day is because it keeps your insulin regular. When you start eating those carbs, your insulin is gonna spike as you eat, and you can crash. And when you crash, you automatically start binge eating, right? So they tell you every couple hours to kind of keep you steady so you don't crash. What's really cool about the keto diet that we're doing is that we don't experience that crash because we're eating such great, awesome foods in our meals that it carries us to the next one, and you find out that you're not really as hungry as you think you are. So intermittent fasting, eating in an 8-hour window, you can try it out. And 12 to 8 works for me. If you wake up super early in the morning, so you're waking up at 5 in the morning, you're working out, you're doing your thing, then okay, maybe you start eating at 8 or 10, and then you just make your window shorter in the evening, right? Because if you're waking up that early, you're probably going to sleep earlier too. So however that works for you. Have you tried intermittent fasting? What were your pros? What were the cons? Put them in the comments below. If you have questions about intermittent fasting, I will definitely reply to those as well. Again, do you have to do it on a keto diet? Absolutely not, but it's definitely something you can try if you are plateauing, if you are feeling like you just haven't really been able to fully get into that fat burning, fat adapted state. You can definitely try this for a little while and see if it kind of kicks you into there. This has been definitely successful for me, for some other people that I've talked to, and it's actually easier to fit into your lifestyle than you probably realize it is. So again, if you've got questions, drop them below and let me know how intermittent fasting goes for you guys.